Learning to play the piano can be a daunting experience for a beginner or even someone who's been at it for a little while. But really, it doesn't have to be that bad. If you're in the beginning stages, you're probably going to look at someone who is more advanced and you're going to see all of the things they're doing and think, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can do that. Or you're going to feel like, oh, I have to get there right now. Well, no, you don't. Slow down, take a breath. Nobody got there right now. It was just a series of steps that we learned along the way, and we gradually got more comfortable. Now, one of the things I see students doing is they will look at a piece of music and feel like, oh, I can't ever look at my hands and I have to know exactly where I am. And oh, that feels really hard. Well, okay, let's break that down a little bit. Someone who plays, who is more advanced, who has a lot of experience, doesn't look at their hands very much. They do keep their eyes on the music. However, they do know how to glance down, bring their eyes back up, and keep going without getting lost. It's actually a lot like situational awareness that pilots have to have. It's kind of funny that this came up. I was working with a student just yesterday who is just kind of getting her bearings, and this exact situation came up, and it made me think, well, I come from a family of pilots. Personally, I like my feet on the ground, but I have learned a few things just in listening to them talk. My dad is a pilot still. He's in his 80s. He still goes up. He taught my son to fly about 10 years or so ago. And this is when I really started paying attention to some of the things that he teaches when he's flying. Now, when student pilots go up, one of the things they have to learn to do is to correct the airplane if something gets off a little bit and not become panicked in the process of doing so. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to get all these terms correct, but some students actually have, it's called the bonnet. It's a little hood thing that they put over the student's face. So while the instructor kind of messes with the airplane and changes the orientation, you think about up and down, side to side, does something to mess with the airplane, then we'll turn to the student and say, your airplane, take the bonnet off, and the student has to figure out what has gone wrong and correct it, all without becoming panicked. And I thought, my gosh, that's exactly what it's like when we try to teach students on the piano to not lose their place in the music. And it's a matter of steps and it's a matter of practicing that skill, just like pilots do. The instructor is there. The instructor knows what he or she has done to mess up the airplane and can fix it very quickly, even if the student can't. But by practicing this over and over, the student learns not to panic and learns how to figure out what things do I need to check, how do I go about doing this, and becomes much more calm should any not so great situation arise. So let's talk about how this applies at the piano. Now I'm going to go to my preparatory book over on page 9 where I have some warm-up exercises, and I chose legato exercise for this particular point. So basically, if I slide over to the piano, my hands are basically in just, well, we would call it C position to start. It's not going to stay there. But what I would do is I would play a pattern of notes, which you actually see here in the first measure. And that pattern remains the same, even though your hands are gradually traveling up the keyboard with each successive measure. So if I play this correctly, what should happen is I should do, and so on. Now, when you're starting out, you may not have the muscle memory that allows you to just walk up the keyboard one key at a time. A lot of times what's going to happen is one hand or the other is going to make too large of a jump. And that's what I'm going to simulate happening here. When that happens, this is an opportunity to practice rerouting yourself, resetting the airplane, as it were. So if I start out with measure number 1, let's clear this off for a moment. If I start with measure number 1 right here, And all I'm going to do when I go to measure number 2 is I am going to move my hand up one key, actually both hands up one key from C to D. What will happen though sometimes, especially left hand seems to be a culprit for a lot of people, instead of jumping up one key, that hand might accidentally jump up 2 keys. Now I'm going to see if I can simulate this mistake. I was trying it earlier and I had to kind of try hard to mess this up, but I'm going to try to mess it up on purpose. So here is my first measure. Now I'm going to move up one note in my right, and on purpose, oh gosh, I hit that. My ear right away tells me, oh, yuck, something's off. That sounded awful. Okay, that is your cue to, first of all, freeze. So if I am here, do not move your hands, because you're going to need to look at your hands to figure out what on earth is that ghastly sound. So if I look at my measure now, and this is also what I want to do before I look at my hands, I need to take note of where I am in the measure. I need to know that my right hand, thumb or first finger, should be on this D. I also need to know that my left hand, fifth finger, right, pinky, should be on this D. Now, I know in my mind I've taken note of where I am up on the music. My hands are still down here, frozen. And if I look down and I realize, oh, well, right hand, one is on D, but left hand, oh gosh, fifth finger made too big a jump here. I need to move this down. Oh, that sounds much better. Okay, now that I've moved my hand, do not skip the next critical step of bringing those eyes back up to the music. Now, when you noted where you were supposed to be, right here, you need to bring your eyes back up to that point and then continue on. And so on. So when you hear that sour note, that is your ear telling you, oh, something's wrong. You can rely on that. You shouldn't have to look down at your hands. You really want to keep your eyes on the music. But your ear is going to tell you the minute you goof up. And then it's just a matter of freeze, note your position on the music, drop your eyes down, figure out, okay, which hand is out of place? What do I need to do? Make that correction. Bring your eye back up to the music. Continue on. Now, the first few times you do that, it is going to feel incredibly slow and clunky. And it's like, oh, I'm never going to get this. But remember, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. This is a skill. And I like to call it situational awareness. You need to know where you are on the map of the music in relation to the keys down here. And the only way you can do that is to take that quick glance. But the crucial part is bringing the eyes back up. Now, an experienced player, after they have done this for a number of times, you're going to keep getting faster. When I do it, I can usually do it in a nanosecond. I can glance down. I might even just see it with like peripheral vision, right? You can just see out the corner of your eye that something is off and quickly correct it. But it is because you have programmed all of this in along the way. So it's these types of skills that I talk about in my free course and other courses. And if you would like to get access to that free course, just comment beginner down below in the comments. I am more than happy to send this over to you. And in the next video, I will be talking about further stumbling blocks for beginning piano students.